They were not born amidst cosmic lightning, they did not descend from star kingdoms, they were not created in laboratories to serve anyone. They are mutants, beings born with power in their blood, a power they did not choose, but they carried with pride, even though the world turns its back on them. Over time, they have been persecuted, shy, rejected, hunted down, and yet they have saved that same world that hates them again and again. Today in Marvel Battle Superiors, the mutant class not only represents the pain of difference but also the greatness of dominance. Power control a DN destination control. In this video, we pay tribute to the 10 most powerful mutant champions in the game, those who have proven that Gen X is not a curse but a lethal blessing. Champions who dominate the attack with bleeds, charges, breaks, passive damage, and absolute control, and who on defense can ruin any attempt at victory if you are not prepared. But before you start, listen to me carefully. Summoner. This top is personal, built from experience, analysis, and strategy. There is no place for blind fanaticism or gratuitous hatred. If you do not agree with the list, I invite you to leave your own top in the comments, but do so with respect, without insults, and without contempt. Here we come to share, to improve, and above all to fight, because in a game where champions come and go, mutants always evolve, and today we crown the 10 who have reached the peak of their species. This is the top 10 mutant class in Marmatarios and Superheroes, and their legacy begins now. We inaugurate this top 10 mutants with a tribute to the greats, to the veterans who, despite not being 7 stars, continue to reign in a changing world where champions evolve. There are 3 mutants who refuse to be forgotten, 3 names that are still present in the war teams, in the toughest challenges, and in the real battle story itself. That is why 10th place of all the top is reserved for them, Arcangel. Archangel, he is the embodiment of passive damage. His fighting style is based on applying neurotoxins, a combination of bleeds and poisons that fuse to nullify abilities, block regenerations, and destroy the enemy without touching them. You just need to stop, hit hard, and let the poison do the rest. In bosses and Immuniades, he is one of the most lethal characters in the game. Fast, lethal, silent, a killer next door who continues to scare. Then we have Kitty Pryde, the young woman who walks between walls but also between dimensionen. Kitty Pryde is a master of control and dodging. His style is based on intangibility that allows him to evade attacks, avoid damage, and keep his upgrades active, all while dragging passive energy with his super attacks. His damage grows with patience, but when it explodes hard, and with the right synergy, especially with Tigra, it becomes a living nightmare, his strong point. You can touch her, but she can fry you from the other side. Of his face. And finally, Magneto, Erin Lexner, the mutant maintained by any machine, a master of magnetism who does not need speed but will. Magneto is the definitive counter of metallic champions. With his magnetism ability, nullifies blocks regenerations and controls the pace of combat, but his true fury appears with Super Attack 3, a lethal discharge that after applying broken weapons and bleeding, can melt even the most tank champions in the game. If the enemy has metal in his veins, he has already lost 3 mutants, 3 styles, 3 legends in a world of 7 stars. They continue to demonstrate that true power does not expire by its legacy, its usefulness, and its offensive ability to an imposing Archangel. Kitty Pryde and Magneto share honor the number 10 spot because some champions evolve but others are already born ready. In station number 9, the heat does not come from the sun. It comes from a man full of rage, energy, and justice. He is Bishop, the Avenger of the Future, the mutant who turned incineration into an art of war, time traveler, and hardened warrior. Bishop has seen the end of mutants and has come back to prevent it. His simple, deadly, effective, stop, hard-hit style, We load up the efficiencies and then we launch Super Attack 2 and that's where everything explodes. The damage is devastating and the worst is usually unblockable. You don't need complex combos or endless setups, just load and release hell. But if you cross it as a defender, prepare to suffer. If you launch an attack 1 while close, in addition to being unblockable, it will burn you alive with constant incineration damage. And since Bishop accumulates energy passively, you can throw those specials before you know it. One mistake, one ill-timed step, and you're fried. Bishop doesn't ask, he doesn't forgive, he just burns for his offensive ease, his capacity for immediate punishment, and his lethal defense that destroys the reckless. Bishop earns the number 9 spot among the most dangerous mutants. Debate. Real, because when Bishop hits up, you burn. In post number 8 comes the Sun. Not the one that hits, the one that burns, the one that sweeps. That is Sam Spot, the human reactor, the mutant that turns every blow into combustion. Sam Spot is an easy-to-use and brutally offensive champion. Each hit applies incineration, and if you keep the hit hard, you consume those cons to generate a small stack of power, speeding your way to real damage. Then you cast Super Attack 1 several times to accumulate glow charges, which then turn into efficiencies, and then comes the end. With Super Attack 2, you release all the accumulated power, and the damage is massive. A lightning bolt that can melt entire health bars in seconds. But in Unknown Defense, it is not intimidating, it is predictable, easy to read, and that is why, although its damage in Stop Attack, it remains in 8th place. Sarspot requires no complex strategy, it just needs to fire up, and when it does, the battlefield is ablaze with its simple rotation, big explosive incineration, and speed in taking out baits. Sam Spot earns 8th place in the mutant top because if the Sun is on your team, the enemy will melt. In position number 7 comes Lack of Control, Chance, the champion who does not need logic because the universe fights for her. She's Domino, the mutant who turns probability into sentence. On offense, Domino is a bloody lottery. If the universe aligns, there's no one to stop it. His basic hits can turn into stronger than normal yellow critics, and his super attacks cause critical bleeds that can destroy health bars in the blink of an eye. It all depends on your timing and whether luck is with you or against the enemy, but his true terror comes in defense. Domino's critical miss directly targets the accuracy of the opponent's skills. What does that mean? That if you try to dodge, activate an immunity, an automatic block something. Key skill and failure. Because of her, you receive direct brutal damage, not because you did things wrong, but because she manipulated the result, and that in war nodes. Difficult content can ruin your match without warning. Domino is not a technical fighter or a strategist, she is chaos made flesh, and if you play against her, that is the only thing you can do. It is to pray for his ability to generate critical, unpredictable damage and his implacable defense based on the failure of others. Dominos spends this number 7 on the mutant top because sometimes the greatest power is for everything to go wrong for them. In position 6, we do not present a stranger, we present a leader who has finally received the power that the Cyclops, the strategist, the unstoppable lightning, the reborn deserved. His style revolves around simple but lethal mechanics, combos with the medium-weak pattern, medium to refresh, pinpoint concentration that avoids failure and illusion while accumulating loads of precision. If you also intercept, you want even more charges. The goal, to reach 15 accumulated precision charges. And now that's where the massacre begins. When you're near Super Attack 3, but you cast Super Attack 2, instead you unleash a burst of beastly damage amplified by your efficiency and accuracy improvements, an armor-piercing optical shot. Lunges and egos, but the jewel of his new rotation is his power effectiveness, an ability that prevents his power bars from being completely consumed. The result is you can launch multiple super attacks almost instantly with a speed and power that turns Cyclops into a living laser cannon. On defense, he's not a constant threat, but don't underestimate him on nodes with unblockable super attacks, or if you can't control his pace, Cyclops can punish you with an accurate laser straight to the KO. Cyclops has waited years, silent, steady, patient, but now that he has awakened, he shoots with all the accumulated fury of a decade. Ignored by his new lethal offensive style, his simple but accurate mechanics, and his ability to chain his pre-attack is like a laser storm. Cyclops earns the number 6 spot on the mutant top because some mutants are born with power and others perfect it over time and return it in the form of lightning. In position number 5, a warrior does not arrive, a storm arrives, an elemental force that is not seen coming until it is too late. She is Dust, the ruler of the desert, the mutant who turns air into a weapon. Dust's style is simple yet devastating. Each basic hit applies dust disadvantages to the enemy when enough charges have been accumulated, a strong hit to unleash the sandstorm. And that's where the screen turns into chaos as it deciphers. Dust transforms all of Dust's disadvantages into efficiencies, brutally increasing the damage of super attacks. Also, during the storm, your hits grant power effectiveness, which means that the power bars are not completely consumed. The result, a burst of super attacks followed without rest, without pause, and without mercy. But in defense, Dust is a living torture. His Sandstorm does constant damage on contact, lowering your life without you noticing. You can stop him, so if you don't have the necessary ones, he will punish you. And most desperately, its heavy animation makes older mobile devices literally lag. If it doesn't just beat you, it crashes your cell phone. Dust doesn't scream, it doesn't shine, it doesn't put on a show, it just raises the wind and you're gone for his offensive style. Simple but scalable, his ability to chain his pre-attacks and in a defense that is as annoying as it is destructive, thus takes the number 5 position of the top mutant because in a game of superpowers, sometimes what you don't see is what hurts the most. In post number 4, there is no fire, no blades, no screaming, only calculation, cruelty, and forced evolution. He's Mr. Sinister, the mutant gene surgeon, the architect of pain. For years, it was underrated, but Glorious Games Caban resurrected it, and now we regret it. Its gameplay is surprisingly simple and ruthless. Start with a stop, then keep hitting hard that pauses the stops while charging, and at the end, the sinister animation applies itself. Yes, you hurt yourself, but you have that disadvantage that it doesn't hurt you but only to turn it into suffering for the enemy. When you've racked up around 10 or 12 bleed cons, just super attack 1 comes along and toss it. All these hemorrhages are transformed into silent, unskippable, and deadly degenerations that go directly to the opponent. And if you keep combining stop plus the hard hit, pause, the degenerations without an enemy, which means more time, more damage, more. Troll a surgical dance of strategic self-harm that always ends with the enemy bar empty. And if you see him on defense, think hard before criticizing him. Literally, if you critically hit him, he regenerates a lot of the damage taken. Thus, champions who depend on the pure critic drown in their own aggressiveness, and if they miss a super attack 1, the degeneration that is going to place on you can ruin the fight in seconds because it not only loses life, it consumes you from within. Mr. Sinister doesn't scream. He doesn't get out of control, he just watches and applies the exact formula to make you suffer for his unique offensive style, his control of time and downsides, and a defense that punishes for playing well. Mr. Sinister rises to 4th place on the mutant top because in a brute force game, he chose to be surgical, and that's what makes him truly sinister. In position number 3, there is no heroine or soldier. An artist arrives, a stage goddess, and a high-voltage assassin. She's Daffler, the queen of rhythm, the mutant who turns light into sentence. Daffler has a style that seems simple but demands mastery. Each well-measured basic hit and dodge accumulates tempo improvements. When you get to 10 charges, you can slide forward, and if you hit the enemy in lockdown, you automatically stun them. That's where your opportunity comes in. With strong blow to accumulate even more tempo, a dance of rhythm and aggression that feels like a deadly choreography, then it's showtime. In Super Attack 1, an accuracy minigame is activated. Tap the screen at the exact moment Dazzler casts each burst of light and gains extra charges of tempo. And when you hit 100 charges, you cast Super Attack 2. There the minigame returns, but this time it's combined with fury, unlockable, and efficiency improvements. The result, an avalanche of light that literally erases the enemy from the screen, a damage spectacle that has no encore, and if you do it on defense, you better dance to the right rhythm. His super attacks are hard to dodge, and especially Super Attack 2, whose bursts can destroy you. If you're not perfectly synchronized, he throws it at you when he has active furies, then you're dead. Dattler doesn't need claws, shields, endless strategies. She only needs one song and one shot for her technical quality, but rewarded for her absurdly explosive damage with tempo and her treacherous defense. Dattler justly earns the number 3 spot on the mutant top because some champions shine, but she annihilates you at the pace of light. In position number 2, the Flame returns, the Mind returns, Gingra returns, and it's not the Phoenix. It's not just a powerful mutant, it's a force, a genetic abnormality, a warning. Jean Grey is back, and this time no one is ready. Jean Grey's power in combat is simple in form and brutal in execution. Each basic hit applies neuroshock disadvantages, a mixture of sustained damage and constant pressure. Keeping the punch strong brings its power boost dynamic into play, where power bars charge much faster, allowing you to go into super attack rotations with absurd speed. The plan is clear: accumulate many neuroshock disadvantages, launch several super attacks. 1. To maintain control, and then when the time comes over attack 2, a burst of critical damage plus burst damage that destroys entire health bars without leaving room for reaction. A psychically destroying symphony, elegant, violent, and definitely. But if you think that Jingle only shines in attack, prepare to suffer in defense. Keep applying the annoying, constant, impossible to ignore neuroshocks. Be protected by a shield that must break little by little if you want to start doing real damage to her. And when you finally get it down, turn on inverted controls. Yes, the ones that make your mind collapse, that keep you from dodging, that make every move a mistake. For many players, that moment is the end. Jean Grey doesn't scream, he doesn't need fire or resurrections. She has already achieved full mastery of her power. With her unstoppable offensive style, her power censure, her mental punishment in defense, and the terror that awakens just by seeing her in the node, Jean Grey rightfully stands as number 2 in the top mutant, because some champions hit you, but she destroys you from within. And in the number 1 position, there is no discussion, there is no doubt, there is only terror. The definitive mutant has arrived, and no, he is not coming alone. He is Olud, the psychic apocalypse, the embodiment of chaos, the absolute number 1 of the mutant class, born from the fusion between Charles Xavier and Magneto, corrupted by rage and darkness. Onloud is not a simple mutant, it is the living manifestation of uncontrolled power, a mental storm that does not think, destroys onslaught attack. It is precise, relentless, and devastating. His blows apply constant neuroshock, brutal energy damage that requires no physical contact. Yes, Ownlock, it hits, but it doesn't touch you and still makes you dust. The hard hit pauses the neuroshocks, allowing the damage to slowly build up until you're ready to unleash everything. Over attack 2, and then the impossible happens. All neuroshocks turn into degeneration, persistent, passive, silent, and even more brutal damage. You keep pausing it with the hard hits, and you watch the enemy melt away while you just float over him like a merciless god. But where Oslo shows his true form is in defense, one of the Eye's most feared defenders. Currently, his neuroshocks are still active, hit or not. You are draining yourself as if the air itself were punishing you, and if Super Attack 2 arrives, prepare for the storm. Activate inverted controls, confuse your mind, your rhythm, your games, and in less than 5 seconds, 2 are eliminated. There is no margin for error, there is no clemency, and as if that were not enough, it is the top 2 in prestige currently, so uploading it is mandatory, using it is inevitable. Oslo does not fight for points, he does not go to war for glory, he is the war, he is the end for his simple but destructive offensive style, his incredible defense, and his very high prestige that makes him essential. Oslo crowns himself as the most powerful mutant in the games, number 1, the X-Class Emperor. Champions that evolve, but he was created to dominate and leave nothing behind, and so ends our journey through the lineage of mutants, from the outcast to the gods, from those who fight with blood and steel to those who destroy with a single thought. We have seen how the mutant class has stopped being the forgotten one to become one of the most feared, versatile, and lethal in Battle Royale, from the Cyclops of the Reborn to Jingle and the Mindstorm, and finally Oslout, the absolute end of everything I know. We know, but remember this, Summoner, this is a personal top based on analysis, experience, and strategy. Not everyone will think alike, and that's okay. If you have a different top, leave it in the comments. Tell us who you would have put it on, who has saved you the most games, who has broken your soul the most in war. Of course, do it with respect, with order, and above all, as a true Battle Royale strategist, because mutants not only evolve, they teach us that change is inevitable and that power can come from anywhere. Thank you for joining me on that genetic journey. See you in the next battle, the next stop, or the next multiverse crisis. Until then, stay strong and stay mutant. And before finishing the video, thank you very much to all of you who are members of the channel this July 2025. To become a member, you have the description of the video, and many thanks to the TheShori of Ana Banana, Eliel Ramirez, and Oscar Salmeron, and Facundo Juan being an authentic Shori. So thank you very much for being members of the channel.